Hi everyone, this is Deborah. Today I'm going to be implementing or starting to implement an idea that I've had in my head for such a long time. These are a whole bucket. It's the whole IKEA cream thing. So it's, about 40 centimeters tall. In fact, I'll measure it for you so you know. Let me put the ruler up the right way. It is over 12 inches tall and the same in width and the same in depth. So this is just one of the number of buckets of doilies and tablecloths and things that I have in my stash. Now, for the longest time, I've been wanting to make something, and I had in my head this idea that I could make a quilt with it. I went away recently down to a town in New South Wales called Glen Innes for a few days, and while I was there I went to a shop in town, one of the local antique shops, and they had the most beautiful quilt made from all these doilies and ribbons and lace and lots of other things, buttons and bling, and I just fell in love with it. But of course, number one, it was too expensive. I couldn't possibly spend that much on a quilt when I know how to do it myself. And that's the other problem. I have a hard time buying things like that because I think I could make that. And I know that I have buckets of these doilies and leftover bits and pieces, like even that little bit of lace I could use for something on this particular quilt. So I'm going to approach it by doing squares. So I'm just going to get myself set up with some fabric. Now I'm thinking that I possibly have some fabric in this tin that I can use as a base. That is not big enough, but I'm sure I can find something. So, I mean, look at this. This is just beautiful, and it's sitting here in this thing, not being admired or used in any way, and I really need to use it. Now, I've collected a lot of these from charity shops. This is a particular favorite tablecloth that I was going to make in something, use as something a while ago, but then I thought, oh, it's so lovely, I don't think I can cut it up, which it's just ridiculous. But I know we all have that mindset, and of course I don't stop buying them, do I? No. So I got a lot of these from charity shops, most of them in fact, or probably half. The other half came from my mother-in-law's house when she passed away a couple of years ago, and I think this was one of the ones that I got from her house, and I believe that these are all hand done by her mother or her grandmother. So again, something else that I want to put on display, not hidden away in a tub in my craft room. So how I'm going to do this is I've got this white fabric. Now this is a quilt cotton, 100% cotton. It's not branded, so it's not a motor, and it wasn't super expensive. So for purposes of this, given that I'm covering it up, I'm going to run with this, and I think that this will be fine as the base. Then I can put things on top of it without thinking, oh, I'm hiding that lovely fabric underneath, because it's fine. It's not lovely, but it's fine. So I'm going to start with my 11-inch square ruler and just chop across and see if we can get, I'll probably get 11. I should get 4 out of the width of fabric. That's what I'm thinking I should get anyway. Let's just try it. I might just move my rotating mat for a moment because it is a bit of a nuisance, a bit in the way there. Now I've got to cut my selvage off, but once I've done that, I believe, yeah, I'm going to be just short, aren't I? So I'm going to get 3. Okay. So, but for now, I'm just going to cut this piece here, rotate my mat, and cut the other side. So that will give me 2 squares. And then I do need a new blade. I've got a slight nick somewhere and it's not quite cutting. I will also give that a press. And for this last square, if I open this up, I will get my 11 inches out of it. And I'll have a little bit left, which of course I will put into my scrap bucket, and it won't go to waste. Don't worry about that. I have plenty of things to make, I could use that as the inside of a bag or something, as a lining piece of a little bag. Or when I've cut 2 of these, it will make a big lining piece, so it won't go to waste, rest assured. Now the other thing I'm going to need is a backing and some batting, so let's work on that. I've got my batting scraps out because I don't need to use a brand new piece for this, or this is new, but I mean I don't have to get it off the big roll because I've got this piece here, and why wouldn't I use what I've got first? So let's start by chopping that bit off and making sure that we've got enough. Now I think if I do this, I'm going to get the 11 out of that. Oh, it's going to be just shy there. What a pity. Okay, well, it is what it is. I can't help it. So let's cut the 11 inches, or actually the 11 and a half. And let's give that a spin and cut the other bit. You can, of course, join batting. I have done that before. It works fine. I probably won't for this particular quilt, but I have done it in the past. I think I just hit the camera. I'll just adjust that for you. And so we'll cut 1 square. Now I've just made a rookie mistake, and I'm not going to cut this bit out of the video because I want to share that with you. That won't be any good. What I need is a piece that is bigger than my 11 and a half, because as I said before, when I start quilting, my 11 and a half is going to shrink. And especially with the batting, I need to have more batting around the edge of my pieces than the size of the piece. So that's why I'm leaving this particular bit in, so you don't make that same mistake. So I'm going to give it, you know, a good inch down here to actually cut that with. And I just want to straighten my camera because I've got you a bit crooked there. Okay, that looks good. And then again on this end, I've left maybe quarter, half an inch or something on that end. And then here, I have to make sure I've got enough. So again, I'm going to have a bit of batting left over, but batting never goes to waste. That's be good for a bag or something as well. So now I have a piece of batting, and I'll cut the backing first because it will stand out a little bit more than the white on the backing. And this is what I'm going to use for my backing. Now, if I don't have enough, I do have a fair bit of this. I don't think I can get any more. However, I've got others in these sorts of tones. So with a cream background and very pale top, you know, green or pink or whatever. And for me, that's going to work because I can mix up the back. It doesn't have to all be the one backing colour, I don't think. And again, I'm going to cut this a little bit bigger than the 11.5 inch square. So I'm just going to come over a tad from there. And if I can find my cutter, here it is, I will cut this. And it doesn't have to be a perfect square. At this point, I will also just cut the rest of that up as well, so that I've got the piece in the similar size when I come to use it. And just, yeah, I definitely have to go and change my blade. That's going to drive me bananas if I'm doing a lot of cutting and the blade doesn't cut properly. But just to show you once again, I'm going to probably, will I leave my selve edge? No, I think I'm going to cut my selve edge off. I'll use my longer ruler so I don't have to keep moving it. And I'm not really worrying about lining it up perfectly. It's kind of in line at the bottom there. And there go those. We can use a bit of that in something else. I'm sure I'll find something to use that for. And then pop this here. Now, I've left my iron on so that I don't, I can just quickly iron things while I'm standing here at the window on my bench doing this stuff. So now I have 2 pieces of background fabric. So I'm going to cut, not right now, but later, I'll cut a whole bunch of white squares. I'll cut a whole bunch of matching batting and the backing as well. So let me get one of these backing pieces because I don't need 2 of them at this point. So if I cut all these out as, you know, do it all in one, I like to batch sew when I'm doing stuff like this. I probably should have cut that a little bit bigger, that backing piece, but it should be okay as long as my white piece is smaller than it, which it will be. I'll pop the white piece on here so you can see it is smaller. And just to make sure that I put it in the correct place, I'm going to trim my batting down to the size of the pink piece. So I know that that works. Because I'm working from the other side, I want to be able to make sure I don't offset my top white piece too much, because if I do that, it's going to kind of ruin the whole thing. Whereas if I do it like this, so in future I think I will take the time to cut my backing and batting squares the same size, bigger than the binding, than the top piece, but definitely cut them the same size so I don't have this extra step in there to do that. So here is my backing piece and here is my front piece. Now, does this have a front or a back? I don't know. I don't think it really matters. And that's got to go in the center. And I'm hoping that there's enough room here on the edges. I'll do a test one, and if it's not, I will change the size of these. So the plan would be to put this here, take that away, and then I know, see here I haven't quite gone to the edge with my batting, so a bit skimpy on the batting. I think that's a lesson, don't be skimpy, because you know we all have so much fabric. So this will be the top square of my quilt, and when I come I'll be joining them, but obviously I'll be cutting this down to whatever size I determine. 11.5 by 11.5, probably not. Maybe 11 by 11 would be the way to go. But right now I want to get some things on it. So the first thing would be to do some ironing. I'll pick some pieces out, like this is really pretty, this one. And the one I showed you before with the little girl on it, and maybe one of these. Now remember that these do have a right and wrong side. I might do a bit of this one. I think I'll just see what else is in my little bag. Look at this. I know this was made by my mother-in-law's grandmother, I think. So I am loath to actually chop this up. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that, unless I put it across 2 blocks, which I could do at the end. Look, even the little teacup's got a little, you can put things in the little teacup. It's so cute, isn't it? Here are my pieces. I'm going to move that across for a moment and just work on, I guess, both of them really, but I want to try and show you. So this would be on this square, my main piece. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm probably not going to be worried about what's up and what's down when I actually put the blocks of quilt blocks together. I may, but I don't think so. Now, this has got a bit of staining on the side, and this is the piece that I like. This won't get thrown away. I will use this, just not in this particular block. I might use it in another block. And also I'm planning to put things on top of other things. I'm not going to just keep them as one thing on top of something. I'm going to layer. I'm just going to cut this across here. So that is a piece for later. And the other thing I wanted to do was actually cut this off here, just so I've got that as something I can use later as well. And this piece here with the staining on it, I'm now going to trim it down a little bit. Now, I didn't do that in the beginning because I didn't want to chop through those little bits of stitches that are on this. I mean, you can hardly see them probably on camera, but up close, they're there, and I want to be able to use that, you know, as something. So this will be my first piece. Now, why I'm using quilt as you go method is because I don't want to have this big quilt with all these bits on it that can catch when I go finish it and want to quilt it at the end. I don't want to do that, which is why I'm using this method. I thought in my head, in my mind, I thought this is going to be easier. Now what I just realised is that I can put that up there like that and have that raw edge along there. That would be a good place to do that. But on here, I'm going to use the first of the quilt as you go method, which is possibly going to be maybe that one, or maybe some of this. Now I just need to look at what's the up and what's the down on this, the right and wrong sides. That's the right side there. So if I put that, again, I'm loath to cut that edge, but maybe what I can do is cut this edge. Also, I need to check that it doesn't have too many marks on it. I don't mind if it's got a little mark on it. That's not going to bother me very much, I don't think. But I'm just going to chop this now. I know this perhaps seems a bit drastic for people who are loving doilies, but as I said, I've got them in a big box, and in tubs I want to be able to use them. So this is going to be my first piece that I'm going to sew. So I'm just going to go and sew down here just to the end of that, so that I can then flip it over and cover this corner in. Now I'm not going to pin, I'm not great with pinning anyway, and I'm not going to clip because it's too difficult to clip. When I do this in batch sewing, I would do a few of these at once and then just go, well, this going here, this going here. I'm not going to sew this scalloped edge down because I'll possibly tuck something under that. For example, I really like this one. I could tuck this edge under there like that and then still get enough on the quilt. And I could also, potentially, I could put this little bit under here and cover up that edge. Perhaps not, that doesn't look any good, but I'll find something else to go. Or at the end, I can get some lace like this and put that over the top like that. How nice is that? I do like that. I'll probably just do that then. So it's a bit of sort of design on the fly, or whatever you call it, and it's also a bit of just working with what you've got and going, okay, now I've got X, Y, and Z, I'll just keep going. I may get some pins just so I can hold that in place, so I know that that's where that's going, and this one, and then this one here. I'm just going to feel when I'm at the machine. I'll just check to see where I'm up to so I don't sew down here, because I don't want to sew down there. I want to be able to, you know, put other things underneath or on top of that without fearing that I have to sew down there as a particular, you know, at a particular stage. Like I said, I'm not great with pins. I've already stuck myself once just then. But I'll go to the sewing machine and I'll sew this and come back. Now, I've sewn these on, all of them. I've just flipped that over, and then I've sewn along here as well. And now I'm going to cut those edges off. I might leave that for now and see how I go with this, but I probably will end up chopping it off. And to chop it, I'm just going to cut down here to the size of the block roughly. There you go. Because this is going to have binding on it, you know, sashing on it to put it all together. I haven't sewn this down yet. I wanted to see whether or not I needed to sew that down, and I also want to cut this off like that. So now I'll put all these little bits that I've done back into the stash so that I can do them, put them on afterwards. I've just sewn 3 or 4 quilt lines down this one, so that I can keep that tethered to the fabric, as you can see here. And I think I am going to cut some more of this off. I might wait actually until I cut it down, because when I cut it down, then I'll probably have a bit more of this particular one here to save and put on something else once I've determined what size I wanted. I just wanted to show you the back of this. I've sewn this doily here with the scallops on it, just around here like this, and then this piece of lace I just sewed through it. I haven't put it all down, but sewing through it is going to hold it enough. And I quite like that it's not fully down on the quilt. I think it will still wash and wear quite well. And I'm not probably going to sew the edge of this down either, because I probably want to tuck something under there. So let's see, we probably need to have more colour. I just can't have that one piece of colour and nothing else. So if I put this on here, I am wondering if, because look at the edge on that, that's beautiful. I don't really want to take that off and not use that edge. But if I put that here like this, it'll show that edge, but it's not going to get it all on, is it? I may have to, and again, I don't want to cover this up, so it's a bit of a dilemma. What do? I think I'll get a smaller piece and put on there. I do have this little bit, which the edge of this is not so fancy, not so great, is it? I can pop this under here like this and perhaps turn it a bit so that the flower is out on display. I'm making this up as I go along. I think that's the beauty of this, is that I don't have to have a prescription for how I'm doing this. It's just something that I saw in this quilt shop and something that has been in my head for a long time as to how I'm going to use all of this fabric and doilies that I have. What I am going to do is get a piece of lace, for example. Look at this. This is an old, from an old collar. I bought this at an antique auction. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's probably going to have to wait and not get used on this piece, because I've already kind of got a feature piece, if you want to call it that. I found a smaller one with flowers on it. Again, it's got quite a cute edge on it as well, but I am going to tuck it up and put this here. Yeah, that looks good. I think I will have to pin, unfortunately, like I did last time, because if I pick it up and take it to the machine, then all this work's going to be, you know, all messed up again. What about that? Probably not. Where's this piece again? Oh no. Okay. I like this one, but it's got a bit of a little stain on it. I could put something on top of it though, couldn't I? I think half the battle with this is going to be working out which is the back and which is the front. I do want to make sure I don't put the back on or the front on incorrectly. I'll pop that under there and this under here. And it's not going to quite go, it's going to have to go on top. And I need something on top of that where that stain is. I can see this is probably going to take a while as I stop to examine everything along the way. Oh well, I guess that's why I'm doing it, to enjoy what I'm doing. I do want to finish it though, so I could put it on the bed or, you know, over the couch. I don't even know how big it's going to be yet. It might go in the caravan, probably not. The caravan might be a bit difficult. Things might get caught on it in a small space. I've just trimmed that circle piece off this little floral so that I can put that. Also, because I think I needed some cream, because I've got cream up here and then white, white, white. So I wanted to add a cream motif down here, and it does the added bonus of covering up that little stain. And the other thing I'm going to do is get some lace and put it down here. That is going to look so gorgeous, isn't it? I might even overlap it on there. And in fact, if I get one more, I can stick it in there, cover up that tiny little gap there. Here is the piece. Now, I'm not quite happy with this bit here, so I'm going to actually cut this away so that it's not too bulky. I may have to get my little scissors. just needed some finer scissors. Now I've cut that, so I'm going to tuck it in here under there now. I'm not going to cut the rest of it. And then on here I'm going to put some more of those little flowers that I just had. I'm going to get 2 more here and probably 1 in the center there. See how that looks. Just to cover up that little imperfection, although there's plenty of imperfections. We'll just cover that little bit up. Okay, so I need to go and finish that off. I also have to bring my pins back, or I'll find them all have travelled to the sewing machine and not in the thing here where they are for me to pick them, get them out. Now I did sew this down too, not all the way. Possibly I will now. I just sewed a line through the flowers so it's still coming up. You can see that because that's how I want it. I've not sewed that down either, but when I catch these flowers, it will sew it more. I have sewn those too. Let's have a look at the back. You can see it's a bit of a square around there, but I think that that's fine.